because in entrepreneurship, it's not a matter of how, it's a matter of when.
You know, what are some things you had to do and some mindset shifts you had to take?
Business is always hard. You just become better as an entrepreneur. It's just like having a child. It's the same way with entrepreneurship, where the more you stay in it, the more consistent you get, you become more resilient as an entrepreneur. So business becomes technically easier, but it's always hard from the beginning. They can't put their phones down. They're doing a million different things all throughout the day. And it's like, you got to be able to focus on the one thing and make the main thing the main thing. Moving on to the second thing, me personally, I would say it was fear, like overcoming fear. I feel like a lot of us, especially in the 9-to-5 world, because of fear, we're not able to really move how we want to because we talk ourselves out of a lot of things. But as an entrepreneur, you got to look at it like this. Fear is like an ocean. It's a mile wide and an inch deep. It seems very scary in the beginning, but once you take that first step in, it's not as bad as you think it is, right? You continue to take more steps, and you see that on the other side of fear is growth. You know what I mean? So just being able to grow throughout your entrepreneurship journey and understanding that risk is temporary, but regret is forever. You're scared of risk because it's something you've never done before, which I can understand, but those same risks you're scared to take, other people are taking, and they're on the other side of where you want to be. But when you have that regret, you never can get back. Imagine us starting at square one together and opportunities presented to both of us. You didn't take it, but I take it. And a year, 2 years later, I'm living the life that you wanted, and that opportunity passed you by.
Welcome to another episode of Access Granted, where I give you exclusive access to entrepreneurs killing it in their industry. Today, I am super excited to have Stead here. Stedman, what's up? Welcome to Access Granted.
What's going on? It's a pleasure to be here. I'm ready to give value, and it's amazing.
So I know who you are and all the amazing things that you're doing, but before we dive in, I want you to tell the audience who you are, what you do, and what you're going to unlock today.
100%. So my name is Stedman Waiters. Everybody calls me Stead, 7-figure entrepreneur. I'm a little bit different than most. I'm in the business lending space from a different aspect. I own Waiters Capital. We help with revenue-based lending, traditional financing, even CDFIs. And then I'm also a coach. I show people how to get into the funding space as a business loan broker to start their funding company.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah. I'm excited about this conversation. We've had several people on here that talk about business lending, but not a lot of people talk about CDFIs. So we're gonna tap into that and revenue-based funding. Yeah. I actually, brief story, had to tap into some revenue-based funding when I had my childcare center. So I think it's important that we have that conversation as well. But before we dive in, before we get started, let's talk about, your journey. How did you get into the funding space? How did you get started? And then we'll just go from there.
100%. So to bring it all the way back, I didn't care anything about entrepreneurship. I never desired to own a business. I never grew up selling candy or doing anything like that. I was straight football from 5 years old up. I went to school here in Georgia. Went to Georgia Southern University, studied electrical engineering, played a little bit professionally. But really, football had to kick me out in order for me to find something else to do. Went and got a job as an electrical engineer for Georgia Power. And from there, I just didn't like the 9-to-5 grind, and it kind of forced me to want to do something different. And the reason I tell people this is because in sports, it's very political, so you don't really control your life. The best man doesn't always win. And in corporate America, it's the same way. You can be the best employee ever, but somebody else gets a job over you because they built that relationship. But entrepreneurship, why I fell in love with it, because it was the only thing I can actually control. Because in entrepreneurship, it's not a matter of how, it's a matter of when. You know what I mean? So going from there, finding a mentor that really introduced me into credit, because I didn't even know credit was a thing, and just really building up from there.
That's really good. You said something, and I always tell people this. I have a book called Fired into Freedom, where it talks about how I was terminated from Wells Fargo, and then I built my platform. Sometimes we are so stuck in our space, and we know there's more out there for us, but we're stuck, and then we run across these mentors that actually change our life. How powerful has a mentor been to you in your journey? And what's the importance of actually grabbing a mentor?
I would say the biggest thing with me is just seeing stuff that you can't unsee. When you see somebody that looks like you, have a similar background, maybe came from worse circumstances than you, make it, and you can see this person, you see their real person, it gives you that confidence to say, hey, I can do it as well. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of happened with me when it came down to mentors. So it was the information that changed my life, but it was being exposed and showing that there's more to life. Because growing up, you only exposed to what you know to growing up. Like your family, the people you hang around, they usually have one perspective. But when you meet somebody with a different perspective that shows you, hey, it is possible. You may have thought life was like this, but it's like this. Just helped me open me up to a whole different world.
Yeah, I agree. I tell people all the time, like I was trying to figure it out myself. And I didn't make my first 6 figures until I had a mentor. Yeah. I didn't make my next 7 figures until I hired a different mentor. So I think mentors just open up avenues. Like it's just the GPS to getting you to a destination that you're trying to get to. And a lot of people avoid that. But let's dive into this funding aspect. And I know your strategy is a little different, but what are some things I should have in place before I even unlock if funding is for me?
So it depends what level you at, right? We like to, in my company, we break levels up 1 to 3, right? 1 would be startups. Obviously, if you're a startup, it's going to be heavily relying on your credit score or having some type of personal income, right? Level 2 is, I would say, intermediate, where you can have some type of revenue, business revenue when it comes down to it. And level 3, if you're looking for, let's say, $1 million and plus in funding, that's where you typically need tax returns, P&L statements, debt schedule, different things like that. So it depends what box you fall into. And then, like I said, within those boxes, there's multiple different products for you to access.
Let's break it down in different ways. Let's talk to each area,
okay,
because I think our audience, I have a lot of startup entrepreneurs, and then I have a lot of entrepreneurs that they have, $3, $5, $10, $20, $50,000 in revenue that they're making in their business. But let's start with talking to the startup. I'm a startup entrepreneur, and I have my LLC, I have my EIN, but I don't know what's next. I see all these people online talking about I can get funding and I can get money for my business. What do I need as a startup to lock in and really go get access to some of this funding that's out there?
100%. So the first thing I'm going to tell the people is you need a business plan. Not to say you need an outline business plan of just this is what I'm going to do. But before we even get you money, we want to make sure you know what you're doing with the money. That's the biggest thing, because credit, a lot of people don't talk about it. It can either help you or expose you. Credit is an abundance, and it's very, very beneficial. But if you don't know what you're going to do with the money, then it's just something that's just burning in your pocket, right? So first, you want to make sure you have a plan of where you're going to put the money and how it can actually help you grow or build something, right? But if you're a startup, you're typically going to be heavily reliant on your credit score. So not really the credit score, but the credit profile. Having little to no late payments, no negatives, right? Utilization at 35% or lower. And the biggest thing is going to be comparables. Comparables are existing credit accounts showing in your credit profile that a lender can base lending off of. So nobody wants to be the first to bet on you. Lenders want to see that you handled credit before they trust borrowing or giving you money when it comes down to it. So that'll be more so on the traditional side. Business credit cards, usually no docs, stated revenue. And then one thing that we're going to talk about as well is CDFIs. So if you are somebody that's a startup, there's CDFI programs out there for startups. Whether you have no revenue, whether your credit's not the best, or even if you're in the underserved community. And a lot of people don't know about that. And with these CDFIs, to kind of break down what a CDFI is, Community Development Financial Institution, these are banks, regional smaller banks that get money from the government that they have to lend out to those that may not qualify for traditional funding when it comes down to it.
That's good. I want you to pause. I don't want you to give them too much on CDFIs, because I want to really dive into that conversation, because most people don't even know that this exists. So if you're a startup, there's options out there available for you. We want to make sure we're leveraging our personal credit profile, and then having the structure of the business, of course. But let's just say I'm talking to the entrepreneur that, I have some revenue in my business, but, I'm in phase 2. As you stated before, I'm in phase 2 and I have some revenue in my business, and I'm locked in, I'm ready to go all in, but I need some extra capital to take this business to the next level. What strategy should I follow?
So with phase 2, there's 2 components. Phase 2 is probably one of the best phases to be in. If you have revenue, that shows that you have proof of concept of making money in the business, meaning that you can go and get revenue-based lending, even if your credit score isn't the best, because these lenders are basing lending off of your revenue, right? So there's different products out there, revenue-based lines of credit, even equipment finance and MCAs, depending on what works best for you. That's an option out there for you, but you can have as low as a 500 credit score and still qualify when it comes down to it. So revenue-based lending is something game changer, because it gives people a second chance at funding if their credit is not the best, because just because you have a lower credit score doesn't mean you don't have a demand for capital. You know what I mean? So level 2 is probably the best spot to be in. And if you are somebody that does have good credit and you have revenue, now business term loans from traditional banks and multiple different products are open to you as well.
That's actually amazing. And I love how you break it down. You make it sound so simple.
Yeah.
I used to work for the bank. I used to work at Wells Fargo. Yeah. And while working for Wells Fargo, people would come inside the bank all the time. And they would just say, I need a loan for my business. And most of the time, I'm going to say about 95% of the time, I would have to decline them.
Yeah.
And, these were entrepreneurs. I had one guy, he had over $1 million in his bank account. And he just wanted to take out a loan for the business just to start building some business credit. They still declined him. Yeah. And it's because he didn't have all of the right things in place, and he didn't know what to actually ask for. So that I love that you're actually teaching this information. You have a free class where you teach this information, right?
100%.
So tell me about the free class before we go into phase 3.
Yeah, so the free class is basically, I help a lot of people become business loan brokers and start their funding company like me as well. So during that free class, I kind of show people the strategy to secure high limit funding for themselves, but also turn this into a skill, right? Everybody needs money. So why not monetize it, turn it into a skill to where you can get paid for making money as well?
Wow. So I can learn this information, incorporate it into what I'm doing in my business. And then I can go find other clients to actually charge them and make this a business as well.
100%.
Oh, that's next level.
Let me break down the example for you. So we have a person in our group named Thomas, right? Thomas he owns a construction company. He initially just wanted to get funding for his construction company, but then he saw how valuable this was and him knowing other construction companies, and he literally just lends to them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So to make it make sense, right? With construction, I guess the way they get paid is a little bit different. They work off of net 30s, meaning that they have to fulfill before they actually get paid. So there's a cash flow gap where they have to come up with the money, put their own money down, fulfill before they're actually getting paid. And if they don't have the money, they can't complete the job and they can't get paid. So that's why he got into funding, by seeing how valuable it was and how many other people in his industry needed that same type of funding. He started to offer it to other construction companies as well. So not only does he have the funding to secure for his company, he does for other people as well. And it's a game changer. You're getting paid for selling money, solving problems that everybody already needs. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, let's go to phase 3, and then we're gonna circle back to that. So phase 3, I'm in phase 3. I'm the $1 million entrepreneur. Yeah. And most people, I was doing a news press interview, and there was a guy there. He was very famous celebrity, and I was talking to him about some funding options, and he had a liquor company that he was just starting, and I was like, hey, you can get funding for that. He was like, I don't need it. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I don't have a need for that. And I think the billionaires of the world are using and leveraging credit to fuel their, Elon Musk had a 30-year mortgage on one of his homes. I remember seeing something like that, a 15 or 30-year mortgage. So I think, there's this misconception out there that when I make 7 figures in my business, or even when I make 6 figures in my business, that I don't have a need for credit or funding. Talk to that entrepreneur that's making money in their business, but the power of actually having extra to grow your business and brand as well.
100%. So I'll say this, entrepreneurs, you'll never have more money than banks. You'll never be able to get money faster than banks. That's the first thing. You're already out leveraged. It doesn't matter if you have $1 million, if you have $10 million. Banks have billions of dollars, right? And the smartest thing you can do is leverage other people's money to make money. And I don't think people understand that, right? Why would you risk your money, right? Or work off of, or self-fund yourself when you can go to a bank, leverage their money, and make more money on top of that? You know what I'm saying? It just continues to multiply when it comes down to it. But level 3 is a game changer, because a lot of people fall into that state where they're at these enterprise levels where they're making money. Money's not an issue with them, and they think, oh, I can just self-fund myself. But now when you self-fund yourself, as we all know, things go on in the business that we don't expect. Now you're playing with one hand. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you always want to have access to capital to invest. And usually those level 3 businesses, they need the most capital because they have the most employees, the most infrastructure, the most expenses. And that's where level 3 funding can come in.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. When it comes to building a business, like having credit can be that cushion that you need. If the pandemic happens again and, income stops, now you have something that you can use to leverage. But also, for me, I run promotional ads to my business, and I use a credit card to run these ads. And I tell people all the time, you will never be able to outwork me because I have promotional ads. And then as I make revenue in my business, I'm just going to pay that credit card off. Yeah. But I'm getting points, I'm getting rewards, and me and my daughter, we flew on a Emirates flight back from Dubai, and I paid nothing for this flight because of the rewards and the points and the things that I'm spending. So even as a 7-figure entrepreneur, I am using and leveraging credit because it's important. Yeah. But it's all about how you use it and having that education to just make sure that you're using it the correct way.
Exactly. And just to give an example, if you are this multi-million-dollar company or entrepreneur, let's say you need $1 million to acquire a building and a business. Let's say you're in business acquisitions. Let's say you got $2 million in your bank account and you leverage $1 million to buy that business. Now you literally depleted your account, your income by $1 million. Instead of getting a loan that can cover that, and now you're paying $10,000 a month. You know what I mean? So you're able to keep your money inside of your bank account and leverage other people's money, and also stacking up points and different things like that. So it's just a bigger game to play when it comes down to it, and understanding in the business, you're always constantly going to have to invest. You want to be very strategic when you invest because you never know when things come up, and you want to have your own capital to go out and get it. Instead of being reversed where you deplete your income, now you go to a bank and they want to see financials and they can see you spent $1 million and you trying to ask for them $1 million. Doesn't make sense?
Yeah, it makes
so you
a
always
lot
want to
of
have
sense.
reverse.
How do you think your background and your discipline, like in football and, you know, having a job and having a career, do you think that molded anything inside of the successful entrepreneur that you are?
100%. 100%. Like, just starting with football is a doggy dog world. Like, I feel like because I was an athlete, because I built the discipline, the consistency, having people count me out, that just made me a 10 times better entrepreneur. Because in the entrepreneur realm, you're dealing with people that never had to face adversity in that type of way. Also, my corporate structure, it allowed me to help build my team and build a culture and camaraderie and have a standard in my team. Like, when I was an engineer, I hated weekly meetings. I'm like, why do we have to have these meetings to talk about the same thing?
This can be an email.
Yeah, but I do it as well because I understand you want to keep the main thing the main thing. You want to make sure people understand the standard. You want to hold people accountable, and you want to build that camaraderie, because it's one thing to make money in the business, but if you really want to scale to 5 million, 10 million, it's no longer you're doing your talent, your skill. It's your team and the culture that you build. Do people like coming to work for you? Do people see themselves being there long term? Can people have opportunities to make more money so they can help their family out, right? And you only get that by building a culture and having A players around you.
Oh, that's so powerful. And I think it's so important. I say the same thing. I think everybody should go work a corporate job.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to, you know, collaborate with different personalities and teamwork and just team building, but structure as well. Yeah. Getting up, going to work every day, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I still incorporate that into my, even as an entrepreneur and I work for myself, I still get up, I still get dressed, I still dedicate 8 hours a day. I still take an hour lunch break. And I told myself when I was terminated, if I can give this company 40 plus hours a week for pennies, I can do the same thing for me. So I love that you're incorporating that as well. So I want to dive into CDFI because there's so many people that, you know, they don't even know what it is. And they've never heard of it. And I only see a couple people online really talking about it, but I know that it is changing lives. It's helping entrepreneurs get access to the capital they need for their business. What is a CDFI and how do I even tap into this?
Yeah, so CDFI is a community development financial institution, right? This is basically a program that the government gives money to smaller banks, right, that they want to give out to those that may not qualify for traditional funding, right? People that may fall right under the requirements of a Wells Fargo, a Chase, or whatever the case may be. There's 3 boxes that CDFIs usually lend out of. There's a startup box where you can have good or bad credit. There's a box where you can be more of an established business owner but have less than great credit. And there's a box for those that live in underserved communities, like smaller cities in Mississippi that may not have the funding they need. Those are usually the boxes they fall out of. But the beauty about CDFIs is even if you have not so great credit, you could potentially qualify for something at a prime rate. You're looking at something between 6 to 15% interest rate on an actual loan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And their requirements are a little bit different than what a traditional bank wants. So to give you an example of a startup. A startup that has no revenue, it's impossible to go to a traditional bank and get a loan. We know that for a fact, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But with CDFIs, you can potentially qualify for a startup loan. They may want to see personal income. Hey, do you have personal income? Do you have a good job that can show that you can pay off this loan? They may require you to take business classes. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different things that they may require you, but this is capital you can go and get right away just off of meeting those requirements. The only thing about CDFIs, I would say, is they take a little bit longer to fund, but it's worth it, especially if you're a startup with no money at all. You know what I mean?
That's good. So we got to give them a little access, right? So if I'm watching this and I'm like, CDFI sound amazing, and it's definitely something I want to tap into. Yeah. Where would I go to even find the CDFI companies? I
got you. So one of the best places you can go to is cdifund.gov. cdifund.gov, because CDFIs, there's no set requirements for all CDFIs. Each CDFI has their own type of requirements that they lend off of, and it's going to be state specific. So the banks that are lending in Georgia may not be the same banks that are lending in Alabama. So cdifund.gov will show you exactly where you can see what state you're in, what CDFIs are there, and you can actually go through and see exactly, you know what I'm saying, what programs they have and which one fits your box.
That's good. Yeah. That's powerful. So there's CDFI, CDFI funding. I can be a startup. Yeah. Is there a lot of documents required?
Depends on the CDFI and the amount. And there's different programs within CDFIs, right? So it depends where you fall. They have startup programs where they're looking for a business plan, right? They want a business plan. They may want to look at your personal income. You can have as low as a 600, 580 credit score sometimes. And they may require you to take business classes for about 8 weeks. But with that, you're able to still get access to capital because like we talked about, as a startup, you're not going to any bank and getting a business loan. You may get a business credit card, hopefully, but you're looking at $50K and below in a business loan if you meet those requirements. They even even have programs for food trucks and restaurants.
Really?
If you're a food truck and you want to get into a brick and mortar, or even if you own a restaurant, want to start a restaurant, get into a food truck, there's financing for that as well.
So let's talk about some success stories that you've had, with clients that you've helped, and how you're changing lives, because I look at your receipts, it's all on your page, and how you're helping people and educating people. What's some success stories that you've had with helping people get access to capital?
So the reason why I brought up the food truck is because we actually helped a business owner actually get into their first food truck. Yeah. Literally out of Louisiana. They were selling plates. They've been doing it for a while. And you only grow to what you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. So they thought that was the way, was looking for some funding. We were able to get them, I would say, about $75,000 in 0% interest business credit cards. But while working with that, there's a CDFI program that allows you, if you're a restaurant owner, to get into your first food truck, and they finance up to 90% of the food truck.
Wow.
So they actually were able to use the funding we got them to put down for the food truck.
Oh, that's
they got
amazing.
a 90% finance.
So there's somebody watching this right now, and they probably just, sometimes we just count ourselves out. We think, oh, it's not for us, or I can't get access to this capital, or, my credit isn't the best, and don't even know that there are programs that will finance 90%.
Yeah.
90% is amazing.
90%.
I love that. But there's another part of what you're doing that really stands out. You're actually showing people how to, one, get access to the bag, but how to still make more money as well, and turn this into a business where they're, not necessarily charging, but where they are making commission and supporting other people with getting access to capital. How do I even do that?
Yeah, it's one of the best business models out there that a lot of people don't talk about, right? It's becoming a business loan broker and starting your funding company. Like we talked about earlier, you'll always be valuable if you solve people's number one problem, entrepreneurs' number one problem, which is access to capital. So if you create a business off of that, you're literally getting paid off of helping people get the money they already need. On average, our commissions are anywhere from 10 to 15% per deal funded. And with revenue-based lending, you don't even have to charge your clients because the lender is going to pay you on the back end.
Oh, that's really good.
A lot of people don't talk about that.
They don't talk about that. So, because I've always had like this, people ask me all the time, like, Coach K, let me come in your community and speak. And I'm always like, not coming in my community, charging my people 10%. And so, but I love that. So the lenders are actually paying you for a referral fee or a commission or an affiliate, so to say. Yeah. And then you're not bugging or trying to, hound down a client for $5,000, $10,000.
100%.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We gotta talk after this, because I've been sleeping on some money, y'all. So you're teaching this, and you have a webinar where you teach this information. Drop the webinar again.
Yep. So fundtosuccess.com is the actual webinar's website. I do it 3 times a week. And what we do during that webinar is showing you how you can secure high limit funding for yourself, but how you can start, grow, and scale your own funding company as a business loan broker. So we go over marketing strategies, sales, how to get started, what to do, what not to do. That's the biggest thing that people don't talk about to help people have success in this space. And if you look at my YouTube, my Instagram, I help people get to 100K months with no ads, 200K months, 50K months, 10K months. I just dropped a receipt yesterday of an engineer. We took him to 17K a month. He was an engineer here in Atlanta, Georgia. Literally, he seen me as an engineer glow up, and he wanted to do the exact same thing. We helped him get to 17K a month.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was able to leave his engineering job.
I am so excited about all of the things that you're doing and the lives that you are changing. But, and I always ask this question, or a lot of times I ask this question when we have entrepreneurs on the platform, because being an entrepreneur isn't easy
at all.
And, some days are, 6-figure days, $50,000 days, $10,000 days, and other days it's like, whoo, I wonder if that job will hire me back. So what are some things or some challenges that you have faced on your journey of building your 7-figure empire?
100%. So one thing I realized that a lot of people don't really understand, or marketing kind of makes them think of business differently. Business is always hard. You just become better as an entrepreneur. It's just like having a child, right? A child may be going through something in middle school or high school that they think is the end of the world, but you as an adult, you're like, you'll be all right. That ain't nothing, right? It's the same way with entrepreneurship, where the more you stay in it, the more consistent you get, you become more resilient as an entrepreneur. So business becomes technically easier, but it's always hard from the beginning, right? One thing that I feel like I messed up, that I try to tell a lot of people, and being honest, is keep the main thing. Right? When I first got into entrepreneurship, learned about credit and all these different things, I wanted to have my hand in every different pot. I wanted to be in trucking, Airbnb, real estate, Turo, funding, credit repair, and you're only one person. You know what I'm saying? You're only one person, and splitting your time and focus in 7 different ways never amounts to anything good at all, right? You end up being mediocre in all. Versus you taking 100% of your efforts and putting it into one thing, especially if you have a family and you have a job. You're already at a disadvantage from an entrepreneur that can do something all day, right? So once I figured out that funding was what I wanted to do and putting all my time in it, that's when I seen the most growth within myself as an entrepreneur.
That is so good. My community's probably watching this right now and laughing because I say that like every other day. There's so much power in one.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we try to figure out how to have 7 streams of income and we go get 7 different jobs.
Yeah.
And that's not what that means. It's like one business with multiple streams of income attached to the business. So I can be, you know, I can have the community where I'm teaching and educating entrepreneurs on how to get grants. But now I have an additional stream of income because I have an affiliate link or I have a commission that I'm going to get by helping them get revenue-based funding. Yeah. So it's not 7 different jobs where you're in real estate, Airbnb, you do hair, you babysit kids. It's like so many other things and you're being pulled in so many different directions. But if you lock in on that one thing and give that one thing 110% of you, it's like you almost can't lose.
Yeah.
And that people are like, well, I'm so good at all these things. I'm so creative. You might be creative and you might be good, but if you just lock in on that one and then go back and grab the other ones later, but just position that one. And I think I'm telling you, my community is going to go crazy in the chat because I say it every day. Like there's so much power in one.
And then just from a overview of it, naturally, anytime you start something new, you're going to have a 20% decrease in productivity. So let's say you're doing grants for your whole team, right? And then you wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? We're going to start doing real estate. Imagine telling all your employees, now we're going to start doing real estate. They're used to doing that one thing. Now you got them doing something completely different. They're not going to be as productive in their day when it comes down to it. So making the main thing was the best thing that I did, and it helped me scale. And I tell a lot of people that, like, you don't need to have your money in every different industry because every different industry has its pros and its cons. Stick to the main thing and make it the main thing and watch that thing grow. Yeah.
And as you're growing, what are some things or some shifts and some mindset shifts that you had to kind of tackle as you grew from being an engineer? Now, engineers make good money, right? But, you know, I'm thinking 6 figures a year, roughly, depending on the type of engineer. But now you can have 6-figure days. And I think as, you know, going into this space and going from 6 figures a year to my salary in a day, which actually happened to me, it's kind of like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's a little culture shock. But, you know, what are some things you had to do and some mindset shifts you had to make when that happened?
A couple, right? Focus is the biggest thing, right? The biggest thing that stops a lot of entrepreneurs from reaching their goals is because they lack focus. They can't put their phones down. They're doing a million different things all throughout the day. And it's like, you got to be able to focus on the one thing and make the main thing the main thing. Moving on to the second thing, right? Me personally, I would say it was fear, like overcoming fear. I feel like a lot of us, especially in the 9-to-5 world, because of fear, you know what I mean? Because of fear, we're not able to really move how we want to because we talk ourselves out of a lot of things. But as an entrepreneur, you got to look at it like this. Fear is like an ocean. It's like an ocean. It's a mile wide and an inch deep. It seems very scary in the beginning, but once you take that first step in, it's not as bad as you think it is, right? And you continue to take more steps. And you see that on the other side of fear is growth. You know what I mean? So just being able to grow throughout your entrepreneurship journey and understanding that risk is temporary, but regret is forever. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, you're scared of risk because it's something you've never done before, which I can understand. But those same risks you're scared to take, other people are taking, and they're on the other side of where you want to be. But when you have that regret, you never can get back. Imagine us starting at square one together and an opportunity is presented to both of us. You didn't take it, but I take it. And a year, 2 years later, I'm living the life that you wanted. And that opportunity passed you by. You will never lose that regret.
That's so powerful. So powerful. All right. So I want you to tell the audience, you know, give them the top 3 things that they should be doing right now to just elevate their business, go to the next level, and tap into some of this funding.
100%. So the first thing is understanding what you want to do and what you're putting the money into. That's the biggest thing. Everybody wants money, but remember, money doesn't solve all problems. It's a tool to get to where you want to. So have a business plan, a business idea, know what you're going to do with the money, right? Number 2, get your credit right. You had to get your credit right because credit is not just for funding, it's for leveraging everything in life. And then if you want to get funding, you just want to make sure your business is set up properly when it comes down to it. Tap into CDFIs, business credit cards, or if you're somebody that has revenue-based lending, there's a lot of lenders out there that will give you access to capital based off of your revenue. So,
that's good. And you're teaching this in your free webinar. And you're going to show us how to unlock this funding, but also how to make it an additional stream of income as well. I'm excited about that because I've been missing out on a lot of money, y'all. So let them know how they can find you, how they can connect with you, and what's next.
100%. So a lot of different places. Instagram, Sted.Waiters. You can always connect with me on there. YouTube, I drop free funding business loan broker content every single week on my YouTube, Stedman Waiters. You can check out a lot of testimonials there. LinkedIn as well. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Stedman Waiters. My funding company is Waiters Capital. And if you're somebody, like I said, that's looking to get into the funding space to start growing, scale your own business, I do free workshops every single week about it. You can join at fundtosuccess.com. Or if you're somebody that wants to get funding, check us out at waiterscapital.com.
I love it. All right, you guys, this has been another amazing episode of Access Granted. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this with 3 people that you love. Until next time.
What's going on, guys? I just had an amazing episode with Coach K. We talked about everything business funding and starting your own funding company. Everything from getting funded with good credit, bad credit, startups, whatever that may look like, and turn this into a skill you can actually monetize and start your own funding company. We gave a lot of game on CDFIs, and it's something you don't want to miss. And if you're watching this, understand that your access has been granted.